Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a recommendations video of books that I think you could easily read in one sitting if you didn't have any other obligations in your life. But just because of either how easy they are to read or how edge of your seat you feel the whole time reading them, just for a variety of reasons. I think that these books are ones that I just lost track of time while reading, couldn't put down, finished super quickly, and I think are great for reading slumps or if you just need a quick read. Before we get into the video, a quick thank you to today's video sponsor, Nordgreen. Nordgreen is a Danish watch brand that cares about people and the environment, ensuring all steps from production to shipping to delivery are sustainable. Their packaging is made up of upcycled plastic bottles and FSC certified cartons. They have carbon neutral shipping, planting thousands of trees every year to offset carbon emission, and they have vegan and refurbished products, offering a variety of vegan products for sustainability and refurbished products to reduce waste. Nordgreen is donating to 3 global NGOs. When you make a purchase, you can actually select which cause you'd like to support. The 3 include clean water, you could select education, or you could choose to support the environment. Nordgreen is actually having a huge Black Friday sale as we speak right now, where you can get at least 30% off. However, I also have a coupon code for you all where you can get 35% off of your purchase, which I think is so awesome. So I will display the coupon code here that you can use when you're checking out to get that 35% off. So a huge, huge thank you to Nordgreen for sponsoring this video. I absolutely love this watch. And now, without further ado, let's get into the books you can read in one sitting. The first book I have is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, which is a pre-Columbian inspired fantasy that is gorgeously written. I love the world building in this one, but the pacing and the plot and kind of what we're building up towards this entire book is what kept me reading so quickly. The writing style was very easy to follow. I did not feel like this was a dense fantasy at all. It was not description heavy. It was just enough lush description that you were very easily able to orient yourself without getting kind of bogged down in the description. I loved this. I loved the writing style of this one. I just couldn't stop reading it. I couldn't stop. So I thought it was such a good one for if you need a very quick read. Usually fantasies for me take a really long time to read. This one took me like 2 days. It was amazing. I could not put it down. I will say the ending is where some people don't love this one as much. It does end kind of abruptly, but for me, the ending didn't take away from the rest of the book. I loved this. I highly recommend it for anyone looking for just an edge of your seat, cannot put down kind of fantasy read. Another fantasy recommendation I have is Never Die by Rob J. Hayes. I think that this one's great for if you're looking for a quick fantasy read to read in one sitting, potentially. It's very short, first of all, so that helps, but the concept behind this book is so unique. It follows a little boy who is able to bring back his childhood heroes and these legends from these different periods of time. He's able to bring them back from the dead to kind of go on this mission with him, and they're kind of tied to him when he brings them back to life. It's a very interesting concept, and the way it's written, it's so easy to follow. You're kind of on this journey with these different characters, and the way you kind of pick up each character, it almost feels like you're reading like a video game. It's very easy to read, very easy to fly through because you're like, what in the world? It has this mystery that kind of keeps you intrigued throughout. You're like, who is this boy? Why is he doing this? Why are we here? And that kind of keeps you interested throughout. So I highly recommend this one for anyone looking for a very quick fantasy read. And then the last fantasy read that I have is Ring Shout by P. Jelly Clark. So this one is a novella, which also helps for the one sitting read. But what's so good about this one is it's almost like fantasy horror that is also historical in nature. So it takes place in 1915 when the Ku Klux Klan is kind of at its peak, and it follows these characters who are Ku Klux Klan hunters, because Ku Klux Klans in this book, in this world, they are actual monsters that need slaying. So I love this. The writing, the character development is amazing for the amount of pages that we get. It really packs a punch, and it's just intriguing throughout because this villain is kind of lurking in the background. It's like creepy horror visual. It's good. It's so good. It's so creepy. I love it. It's such a good all-time read too. So if you're looking for another really good, well-written, well-executed novella, I would highly recommend this one. I do have one sci-fi book to bring up, and that is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, which I just read this month, and oh my goodness, this one is chunkier, so I don't know that you can realistically finish it in one sitting. But what's so interesting about this one, it's a young adult sci-fi, so it's very easy to follow. The pacing's quick, it gets to the point really quickly. The characters are great, but what I loved particularly about Skyward was the mystery behind it all. Like, why are we here? Why are we fighting this alien species? Why do they do the things they do? Why do they do it in this way? And that mystery, those questions, kept me so engaged throughout. I kept having to get to the next chapter, because I wanted those answers to those questions so bad. And Sanderson gives you just enough in this book, but not quite all of it. And I'm so excited to pick up the sequel because I love the mystery in this book. The mysterious elements are very, very intriguing. So highly recommend Skyward. All right, a couple of thrillers. I mean, thrillers are always good for quick, easy, compulsive reads. I love reading thrillers for that, but two stick out in my mind as ones that I truly could not put down. The first one is Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. This one doesn't necessarily have like the most twists. It's not very unpredictable, but for me, what makes this a thriller that works for my personal preference in thrillers is because it gives you this edge of your seat feeling the whole time you're reading. The characters are in these situations that are so terrifying and put you in the place of the main character, and you're constantly thinking, like, what would I do in this situation? I loved it for that reason. I just could not stop reading it. I do love how it ended. I thought the ending was very well executed, but this one, don't go in expecting like twist after twist. It really doesn't have any big twist at the end or anything like that, but it's just so edge of your seat. Like, I just couldn't stop reading it because I had to know how the characters were going to get out of some of these situations. So highly recommend this one. And then the other one that's kind of similar in that feel is No Exit by Taylor Adams, which once again, it has a little bit more mystery behind it. It has a little bit more unpredictability where there is a twist that you're kind of working towards, and maybe you can guess it. I did not. But what's super thrilling about this book and why I think it's so popular is because it puts you in the mind of the main character so well, where you constantly are thinking, how in the world would I get out of this if I was in this situation? And the setting is so like claustrophobic at times. It's so atmospheric in that it takes place in like the dead of winter at this rest stop where there's just a couple people in this rest stop where one of them's a kidnapper and you don't know which one it is. It's just wild. It's just a wild time. So I loved this one. I could not stop reading it. So this is another really good one. A contemporary that I definitely think is worth mentioning. It's one of the only contemporaries that I truly could not stop reading. It's Room by Emma Donoghue. One of my favorite books of all time. This one doesn't have chapters, which I think I kept like reading because I was trying to get to the next chapter. And then after a while I was like, oh, I'm like halfway through the book and I haven't gotten to another chapter. So I think that helped reading it so quickly because I just kept waiting until the chapter would show up and it never did. And by that time I was already so sucked in I couldn't stop reading. This one is a survival story at its heart, and it's very much about the lengths a mother will go to protect her child, and I loved this book. It's all told from a 5-year-old's perspective, so the writing at first can seem kind of jarring. It takes a little while to get used to. Sorry if it looks like my outfit changed. It is because it did, because my footage for this video actually got corrupted halfway through, so I have to refilm it. It's totally fine. But as I was saying, Room is told in the 5-year-old's perspective, takes a while to get used to, but once you get used to it, it is just such an unbelievably powerful story. I love this so much, so I can't recommend this one enough. It's a perfect one to read in one sitting. The last two books that I have to talk about that I think are great for just quick, easy reads are two romance books. I'm not a huge romance reader, but these are two of my favorites that I've read. One being Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey, which follows, oh my gosh, the cutest character I think I've ever read. So we follow a girl named Georgie who is so precious, and this probably one of the reasons I love this book so much. She is, like, for her profession, she is a clown. So she is hired by parties to go and be the clown for that party or event or whatever it may be. And she's the most adorable human being. I love her so much. And she's had a childhood crush on her brother's best friend, who is this really athletic guy growing up, but had never given Georgie much attention at all. He actually goes on to be a Major League Baseball player, but has to retire from being a baseball player due to an injury. So he moves back home and rekindles a relationship with Georgie, and they end up having a little bit of a friends to lovers romance, and it is so cute and so steamy in some parts. I think your mileage may vary on how much you like the main guy in this story, because I feel like romance is very subjective, where different people find different things attractive. So this really worked for me. I know it doesn't work for quite a few people, but I really loved this, and I definitely could have read it in one sitting if I had had the opportunity to. I flew through this book. I thought it was absolutely adorable. And then the last book I have is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. This is definitely my favorite Christina Lauren book so far that I've read. I think I've read 4 of their books now, and I love this one. It's a classic friends to lovers romance. I think I really like friends to lovers. And Josh and Hazel are determined that they are just best friends. They don't think that they have any kind of romantic chemistry, and so they're trying to set each other up with different, like, blind dates and partners, and they go on double dates and are trying to find the perfect person for them, when really it's in front of them this whole time. So I think this is adorable. It's just precious. Again, I think if you connect or really find the main two characters endearing, then it's going to be really easy to fly through this book. I loved them. I loved their chemistry. It was the perfect amount of steam, so I also highly recommend this one. I think it was adorable. So those are all the books that I have that I think are really fun, quick, easy reads that you could probably finish in one sitting if you had the opportunity to. Do you have a book that is a quick, easy, fun read that you would recommend that you finished in one sitting? I would love to know, so leave those comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!